everything is hard before it's easy. It's gonna feel weird at first because you've never posted these type of things before. Most real estate agents have never actually truly marketed themselves before. It's pretty easy to go out and take a picture and pay some mailer company to send out mailers to a bunch of people in a neighborhood. Believe me, it's really weird at first, and it's new. It's something that I'd never done before. And I've heard all the excuses. I look weird on camera. I don't like how I sound. I don't like how my shirt looks. I look fat on camera. I've heard all of the excuses, and they're nothing more than excuses. It's weird for everyone, and everyone is weird at certain things. But the fact that we are shooting a video to put this video out and show it to other people and be judged by them, and they get to make decisions about us, really messes us up in the mind. Posting on stories and documenting my life was not that difficult for me. It wasn't really that big of a hurdle to get over. But when I actually had to go out and record a video and look into a camera lens and have to record myself, it really messed with my mind. Believe me, I get it. You don't think you can do this. You can't see yourself in the future where you're actually comfortable on camera. People can see themselves as billionaires on yachts and private jets, but they cannot see themselves as actually being good on camera. And most people do not have this natural ability to actually look into a camera and start talking and be good at it. It takes reps. As a college kid, I used social media to be social. I didn't even have a concept of using social media for business. I was absolutely terrified to post my face. When I dropped out of college and knew that I had to do this social media stuff to start marketing myself, I was legitimately terrified. In my mind, I thought my friends would be like, oh, Steve dropped out of college and he thinks he's Mr. Finance now. That was the story that I was telling myself. And it was one of the hardest things to get over. And then once I finally got comfortable and started posting a little bit of myself, a little bit of my face, I just wanted to document my story. And I had to started to post these motivational things. And then the story I was telling myself was that everyone was going to think that I'm Mr. Tony Robbins now, posting all this motivational content. And the first 2 years that I was in mortgage, I legitimately did not post a thing about mortgages. If you look back at my profile, I just broke into the actual mortgage space on my profile and on Instagram about a year ago, beginning of 2020. But I would start to make Instagram and Facebook stories, starting to talk a little bit about mortgages, and I got my feet wet. And then I was eventually able to get in and actually get in front of my camera and shoot a 2 or 3 minute video on my phone. And then that morphed into actually recording content and being educational about mortgages. This is all very overwhelming, but someone told me one day that rather than creating content, just vlog your life. And I didn't know what that meant for the longest amount of time. But one day my Jeep broke down because I always have vehicles breaking, and I just documented the story of me and my car trouble. And this happened over a couple month period. I kept having car trouble, and I was able to connect the stories and have a timeline that people could connect outside of that single post. They could go back in time and connect. Oh, Steve had this issue with his Jeep back then, and he's still having issues with now. And it's kind of weird, but that was my brand at the beginning, was just documenting all of the things in my life that I broke. My first video, I paid a company from New York, and they flew a guy down, and he followed me around for the day, and we shot my 5 or 6 minute long video. And these guys had it edited and sent it over to me for final review. I legitimately let it sit there for about a week and a half before I would even respond to them. I did not want to open that video and look at it. It was one of the most weirdest things that had me messed up here, but I would not look at that video. And these guys thought like I just completely blew them off and didn't want it anymore. And I just watched parts of the video, and then I would pause it, and I could just not get over myself of actually being okay on camera. It was all a story I was telling myself. I have empathy with where you're at right now, because for me to say stop caring and start posting is very easy after I've produced all of these videos. Believe me, I know where you're at. You don't have to think that you have this figured out, but you have to be willing to break down the barriers and get uncomfortable. You don't have to have this figured out. You don't have to see yourself as being good on camera one day, but you just have to be willing to get vulnerable and to try this out, and we will get through this together. And just so you realize how actually terrible I was at this, about a year ago, my business coach had a meetup about an hour north in Tampa. And after we chilled for a couple days and everyone got to know each other, and they wanted like a 60-second testimonial video from each one of us after the 3-day retreat or whatever. So I had shot some videos. I had shot content before, but I had never shot content in front of other people. And there was like 5-8 people in this room. So I had to sit on this chair, look all professional, and tell my 60-second story of how this coaching group changed my life. And I legitimately froze. I could not get more than about 7 words out. And it was one of the most embarrassing things I'd done in a while. A year ago, I froze on camera. Whenever I saw a camera, I legitimately froze. If there were people around me, you can count me out. But a year later, I ripped out all this content and I can build a course like this in a couple of days. Believe me, if I can do this, you can do it too. The more content you shoot and the more uncomfortable situations you put yourself in, the quicker you're going to break out. You don't go to the gym for the first time in your life and expect to bench press 300 pounds. In the same way that you don't get in front of a camera and expect to start talking for 3 minutes straight about a subject that you barely know anything about. This is gonna take time to break out of your comfort zone. And breaking out is much easier if you have an actual brand established. So we're gonna go over establishing your brand next.